Okay. Got some more parts in. Should be enough to finish up the tranny here. We get that done today. So there's the other bearing. Goes into the other end of the main shaft, I believe. Get in here. There's all those brass washers I'm going to use. These are, I think, $6.95 for 100. So I'm going to use those. These are some Allen head transmission bolts. There's 2 sets here. Got those pretty cheap on eBay. These BSF threads, rather than those ones I got that are all stripped. So I'll clean these all up and let's get this transmission back together. First thing I'm going to do though, I got to clean this whole bench right off. I'm going to clean this right up, lay everything all out, get it organized. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to turn the volume down or I get copyright issues. So there it is, all laid out. I got to clean these parts up a little bit as I'm going, and that's where I'm going to start. These are the old ones. I pressed this bushing out I think yesterday or the day before on the first gear. I didn't videotape it. I probably should. You can see there's where the chunk was out of it. But what I ended up doing was I think it was a 13mm deep socket I used. I'm pretty sure that was the size. Yeah, 13mm, just it's a snap-on socket, just fits right over it. And I put a bolt through the center of it on the gear. This gear. That gear there? No, this gear here. Yeah, this first gear right here. Put a bolt through it, through the gear with a washer on the other side. Tightened up the nuts and it pressed it right out. Came out pretty easily. I pressed in the new nut and I pressed in the new bushing, and you know, it's snug going in. So when I went to slide it on the shaft, it slid through really nice into the one end, but the side where I had the washer. Just kind of must have just burred it in just a hair, so I just took a fine file and some emery cloth, sanded it around, and yeah, that's this gear here. Let me show you. Take this off. Musical interlude. There it is there. So when I went to put it on the shaft, it was snug. It was really snug. Well, I could slide on it here, then it got snug as it went over the worm part there. So I just, I cleaned it up, took a little emery cloth to it, and it fits nice there now, spins good. So that's it, pretty easy to change that. I got a couple pictures though that were on the internet to show you how you do it, exactly how I did it, and I'll insert that in there right now. I'm going to start cleaning these parts. My hands are covered in oil. Holy smokes. Okay, you can see me. I'm going to start with the main case. Replace these O-rings. And I got a little pack of silicone grease, brake grease. I'm just going to coat these O-rings with a little bit of grease so they don't stick, and probably help it seal a little bit too. Make sure it's clean first. Just run a rag through there. The O-ring runs on this washer here, but it's not like it's spinning, eh? It's just click, click, turns the odd time, so there's not a lot of movement there, but I'll put a little silicone grease on the washers. One there. I'm gonna buff this washer off. Okay, quick. Whoa, put too much on there. There. I didn't paint this housing yet. Probably should before I do all this, but I'll figure something. I'll just tape it all off. I'll tape off the chrome area. Let me find the torque spec for that. I torqued these to about 15 pounds. I couldn't find a spec for it, but for the size of the thread, and came off pretty easy. They weren't on that hard, so I can always torque it later. Hard to torque this one because it spins, so if you put a screwdriver in between here and the quadrant, it kind of locks it so you can snug it up. I'm putting in the lay shaft bearing right now, and I just kind of set it in there, and I pushed it in about a quarter of the way. It's going to go in pretty easy. I thought I was going to have to heat it up, so I don't think so. This thing, it's going in pretty easy, so I just pushed it with my bare hands about a quarter of the way, and I got the old bearing here, and I'm going to see if I can tap it in. Like, yeah, that's going in like nothing. The old bearing was so hard to get out, but wow, that's going in real easy. So I don't need any heat on that one. It's just about all the way in. Wish that shaft was a little straighter. Fucking dust in there. A little bit of dust fell off my hammer. Clean that out. sturdier piece of wood. I think that's it. One more time, just to make sure. Feels like it's all the way in. Yeah, that's in. Put a little bit of assembly lube on the inner race. Okay, now get the main bearing in. So the main shaft bearing, it came with the steel seal on one side there. I don't know, probably could have taken that off, whoever put this in before. It's open on one side. Well, mine's got the two seals on it, so we're gonna pop one of them off on the inside so the oil can get in there. Discard that. It's packed with a little bit of light grease. That's good for now. The gear oil will get all that out. Got her started. I'll tap it in with the old one. Be nice to have a little press with an anvil there. I want to find a block of wood, get it off of this cardboard here first, and then I'll get over there. Okay. Oh, I just took a big socket, taped it to the original bearing. Get it nice and centered there. Gonna use that to tap in the new bearing. Got to make sure you get it right on the race. Yep, this is a backyard mechanics. Check something here. Just making sure it's going in square. It's high on this side here. High on that side there. All right. Come on, get up there. Got it tapped in there. Just had to keep checking to make sure it was going down even. It would get a little bit high on one side, tap the other side, back and forth, and it went in fairly easy. I was just pretty cautious with it. I noticed when I ordered these O-rings and everything from Norville, they sent me this little tiny wee O-ring here, and I didn't order that because I don't even know what that's for. Then I was looking at the shifter shaft right here. There's a little O-ring on there, so he must have known that I'm rebuilding my transmission, and I must have overlooked not ordering that. So that was pretty good of those guys to do that. I should have been ordering parts from Norville from the very beginning, getting the right stuff, original stuff that you know works, because that's all they do. Get that little sucker off there. I need my right angle one. It's this one here. Nope, not that one. This one. Yeah, I should have been ordering parts from them from the very beginning, getting the right parts, and cheap, actually pretty cheap prices. Just takes a while to get them, that's all. So that was pretty good of those guys to send that. So I didn't order it. Didn't know there was even an O-ring there. Hadn't got that far. I'm gonna wire brush this off too. Put you on hold again. Okay, I just took the gear cluster, the lay shaft gear cluster, sprayed it all down with brake cleaner outside, blew it all off, just poured a little bit of gear oil on it, and I put the inner race for the lay shaft roller bearing on here because it was a pretty snug fit. So got that on there first, and I'm just going to put it in here. This is the way I took it apart, so I'm going to put it back the way I took it apart. I think. I think. Maybe I got to stick the main shaft in first. Yeah, maybe I do. I should go watch the video again. Maybe it was the, I think the main shaft was in first. The gear cluster would fit in easier. Okay, anyways. I got to take off, run an errand. I'm going to come back and finish this. Yeah, I put the main shaft in first, and it's a pretty snug fit in that bearing in here. So I had to put the nut on the end here and just give her a couple light taps to get it in there so you don't damage the threads. And then we'll stick the lay shaft in there. So the gears fit nice and flush here. That's in all the way. Kickstarter shaft goes on in like that. It's getting there, but I gotta take off now. Okay.